This is the Miller philosopher. Thorin Oakenshield is often portrayed as a difficult character to deal with, whether you go with the movie version or the book version of him. Stubborn, suspicious, and prone to tantrums. He is extremely protective of his birthright as the rightful heir of King on the Mountain and the treasures that it possesses. In the books, these traits are regarded overall as dwarven traits rather than traits specific to Thorin, where the movie also portrays that as a mental illness that's passed on from his father. Honestly, I prefer the latter, but that's just my preference. Serious at all times, there are moments where Thorin barely gets along with others outside of his own race, or not at all. Yet, other dwarves still respect and follow him nonetheless, along with Bilbo Baggins. And I feel, though, that when looked as a whole regarding the dwarves, that Thorin embodies his culture in all its best and worst aspects during the Third Age. The dwarves are master craftsmen and always have been, said to rival even the smithwork of the High Elves. Their weapons are respected and feared, and their warrior culture was second to none, though often underappreciated until you fight beside them or you're at the business end of their axes. They are major power players in Middle-earth throughout the First and Second Ages, and are merchants as well as craftsmen and warriors. But by the latter part of the Third Age, have now fallen on hard times after the fall of Khazad-dûm to a Balrog. They become migrants, exiles, and eventually set up lesser kingdoms in the Western Blue Mountains and the Grey Mountains up north. Their reputation arguably suffers as a result of this as well, regarded now only as merchants and distant peoples, rather than being remembered for being a one of the most important power players in Middle-earth. Not only that, but their northern realms suffered from a protracted series of conflicts with dragons that results in their fall, and another forced migration further south to set up realms in the Iron Mountains and Thorin's home, Erebor. Some even come to regard the dwarves as something of a joke, as shown by King Fram when he mocked the dwarves for their audacity to demand the return of their treasure that King Fram had retaken from a dragon after he had killed him. It is said that after the king mocked the dwarves, that the dwarves essentially killed him for the insult, because people forget or didn't know that the anger of the dwarves is not a good idea to incur. They have at least one seemingly quote-unquote glorious moment during their genocidal war with the orcs in the Misty Mountains, somewhat reminding the outside world of their past reputation. Yet it's so costly that it's arguable if it was even worth it. Thorin Oakenshield embodied this frustration at the race's misfortunes, and his refusal to negotiate with humans and elves from their past disputes after the death of Smaug, I believe, is age-old grievances and coveting of the treasure now coming to the forefront. The desire, greed, and battle prowess of the dwarves is single-minded, often barely considerate of consequences, and this perfectly describes Thorin, as he is blind to the fact that their quest did result in the destruction of Lake Town despite liberating Erebor, which also further led to the death of Smaug at the hands of Bard, a human and not a dwarf. However, as I said earlier, Thorin also embodies the best of dwarves, that is more than just their warrior culture or their smith work, that is, their extremely strong sense of loyalty. Even though he does have a falling out with Bilbo, Thorin is able to recognize this at the end that this was a mistake and reestablishes that friendship with him before he dies. That the others of the company still follow Thorin without question also shows just how strongly they regard friends and allies, even though the movie version has some of them questioning that and making adjustments here and there, but ultimately still following Thorin regardless. And also too, it also shows how the dwarves, i.e. Thorin, regard the mistreatment of said affection if they feel like they have been betrayed, something worthy of a dwarf's wrath. It's this infusion, I believe, that makes Thorin Oakenshield a phenomenal character because of his nuance and his ties to the culture he comes from. More than any other dwarven character in the writings, I believe, I think Thorin perfectly shows that the dwarves are capable of great deeds, and deserve to be more recognized than they are, but oftentimes are failed to be seen that way because of either they are not immortal like the elves are, or not as interested in expanding empires like the humans are. But that being said, what do you think? Do you think Thorin Oakenshield is as great a character as the books and or movie made it out to be? Do you think the character was somehow tainted somehow by the movies? Because I know some people feel that way. And do you feel that he represents the dwarves overall in some way, shape, or form, or that he was just a singular case? Let me know in the comments below. But otherwise, this is the Middle-earth Philosopher. You guys have a good day.